Hey, welcome. Hello. Thanks for joining us today in our first Facebook Live here from the International Hobie Class Association. So my name is Rich McVeigh. I'm the president of the International Hobie Class, and we'll have a few guests joining us here in a minute. David Brooks will be on momentarily. He's the executive director of the class. And we have some news for you today, but we thought we would start out, talking a little bit about the past year in 2020. So it's been certainly a difficult year for everyone all around the world. The pandemic has resulted in a lot of cancellation of events, and it still is. However, we're really hopeful that things will be improving in the future. But looking back to 2020, a fair bit of sailing did happen around the world, even though many of the events that we traveled to did not. I wrote about this in my blog recently on the class website, and someone at my sailing club really came up with the term that this was going to be the year of the local, for lack of a better description, just a year of the local, and that's really how it turned out. And we got to do a fair bit of sailing, and most of it was done locally, but we found ways to do it even in the midst of a pandemic, and to do it safely and to still have a good time sailing, especially on smaller boats with small crews where, it's easy to, you don't have to worry about having a large boat with 10 people and how you social distance. A boat like a Hobie Cat with 1 or 2 people on is very simple and very easy to accommodate that. All right, David, are you with us yet?
Yes, Rich, I'm here.
There you are. Welcome. There you are. You appear. All right, David's joining us from Australia. So, David, why don't you chat from your area about some of the things that have happened in Australia and are happening?
Well, I think better off probably talking about the whole world, because we had some really good racing around the world throughout the year in 2021 and 2020. We had in August we had the Austrian Hobie 16 Championships, held on the lake there. And they had a really good turnout. And then in September, we had the Dutch Hobie 14 Championships there. Again, COVID played a bit of a part in that one, delayed it for a week, and then they got it going again. And it was just another wonderful regatta. We also had the Danish Hobie 16 Spinnaker Championships in 2020. And of course, that was dominated by the Bornholt brothers, who we all know. Daniel won the world in China, and Nikolai was the runner-up in the recent Florida one. So those two, but they were pushed throughout the course, and so they had some really good racing there in Denmark. And then in 2020, we also had in September there, we had the Spanish Hobie Championships there, and that was really good to see. That was run by a father and son team. And so, again, they had COVID restrictions, but they could get the racing in. They had to wear the masks, they did all this, and they complied with the government, had a good regatta, and it was a safe regatta. And we had the Italian Hobie 16 Spinnaker regattas and the Dragoons, one of the most beautiful parts in Italy there, and that regatta there, I always love seeing the photos. We share them on Facebook around the place there. You see the mountains in the background, snow covered. It's just spectacular, and just really one of the places you actually want to go to. In October, of course, maybe Rich, you want to talk about the Hobie Mini Mega event. We had the Hobie Wave, Hobie 14, Hobie 16 Women, Hobie 17, and the Hobie 18 Championships there. Rich, do you want to say a little bit about the North American Championships?
We were fortunate that we were able to have that one in North America. And people were able to travel to that one. It was sort of at a time when people could travel and people could go there, and it was in a really nice spot in Mississippi called Ocean Springs Yacht Club. I've been to. It's delivers some really. It's a pleasant place. It delivers some really nice sailing conditions, and I wasn't able to attend that one, but by all reports, that folks that went had a good time and a safe time and had a nice week of sailing there.
Okay, and of course, just last month we had the Hobie 16 Championships in Plettenberg Bay in South Africa. For those that were reading the newsletter, you'll actually see that Plettenberg Bay was where they held the 5th Hobie 14 World Championships. And some of the sailors there that were in the top 15 of those worlds back there in 1979 were back racing again. And I look at that regatta there, and it really is a who's who of sailing. You know, in the top 4, 3 of them are either current or ex-world Hobie champions. You've got William Edwards sailing with his wife Lucinda. They won it, 13 races, and it was just great to see them back sailing again in their home water. And I said it came down to the last race. I had Sean Ferry. Sean's won multiple Hobie 16 world championships there. He finished in 3rd, and in 4th place was Blaine Dodds. Well, Blaine has won, I think, somewhere like about 15 or 17 South African Hobie championships there. He's won a Hobie 14 Worlds, and he's won a Hobie 16 Worlds, and is just one of the best sailors in the world. And not only are those people some of the best Hobie sailors we've got there, but they're also the nicest people you come across. And they had a big problem there with their regatta. Just before it started, the South African government said, sorry, we're shutting all this down. They went back to the government, said, look, how can we run this regatta? They said, if you put these COVID restrictions back in there, we can run the regatta. So the sailors complied, we got the regatta done, and we had some really good racing done. But as we move back into 2021, there's a few things that we've got to look at, and that's with the racing rules. As we know, the racing rules change in case you didn't know, they change every 4 years. And there wasn't a major change, but there's 2 things that are really going to affect our sailors this year. One rule that's already come into force, and that goes back and says your trapeze harness must have positive buoyancy, which most trapeze harnesses do, and they shall not weigh more than 2 kilos. Originally, World Sailing made them much higher, that weight, but our rules committees looked at it, and they've gone back and said, we'll go back to the minimum weight of 2 kilos. And the reason they've done that is there's a concern that if you put too much weight in a trapeze harness, it could affect people's lower backs and shoulder problems. So we've gone back and gone to the lowest one, which is really good for the rules committee, going back, looking at people's health. And also they went back in there and tested a lot of the trapeze harnesses, and there's not too many trapeze harnesses that are over 2 kilos. There's going to be another one that affects trapeze harnesses, but that doesn't come into effect until January the 1st, 2023. So I've still got a few more years to worry about this one there, but it's really to go back and say that in the future, all trapeze harnesses have to be quick release, and they've got to comply with an ISO standard. ISO is the International Standard Organisation. We've got to apply to 1086-2. What does that mean? We'll find out more from World Sailing. They'll go into a lot more details later, but I think most trapeze harnesses will go back in there, and it's quite simple to go back and change if they don't already comply. And again, they're looking at trying to make everything as safe as possible for people trapezing. We've had a few incidents there. So that's what's happening there. But no, everything's been going really, really well in there for Australia. We haven't been able to run an Australian championship this year, but there's been heaps and heaps of minor regattas around the place there, and everybody, as you said, Rich, what's been happening is it's been really good, because instead of focusing on travel, people have gone back and sailed back at their local clubs, and we're seeing a lot more local sailing and people putting time back in to help some of the new sailors come back in there, which we haven't been able to go.
Indeed, yeah, but I think we're optimistic that in 2021, it's going to take some time, but we'll be able to start doing some of those things again. So let's move on and talk a little bit about what we have planned for coming up. it's great to see all the people online here. So we'll do a few talk to some people as we go, and if you have questions, you can certainly post them, and we'll try to respond as we go. All right, so why don't we bring Steve and Michelle in, and they can tell us a little bit about our plans for the future here. I know in my area we're all setting our calendars for 2021, and we're optimistic that things will start to get to a place where we can start going to events and traveling a little bit again. So Michelle, why don't you say hello?
Hello, good morning, good evening, good day, everyone. I don't know in which part of the world you are. Happy New Year to all the sailors, and so happy to be in contact with you today, just to have some news from Europe. Shall I start, Steve?
Yeah, why not?
Well, in our part of the world, in Europe, the calendar of regatta is filling up day by day for local event or national event. And the main European meeting will be the Multi-European Championship, organized by the European Association, which be held, from June 27 to July 5th in Spain on the Costa Brava for the Dragoon 14, 16, Tiger, and Wildcat class. It's always a very big event, and always some very good spirit on the beach. However, we have another news, we have also another very good news. Santa Claus brought up some fabulous gift. I can announce today that on December 25th, we signed the contract for the 23rd Hobbycat 16 World Championship. Will be held in Catalonia, Spain, in September 21. 25 years after Soto Grande, we're back on the European continent. It will be a special occasion, not to be missed for the hobby family. It will be a special occasion for all the hobby sailors, to be in Europe and to share that moment with you on the beach. We look forward to welcoming you in Europe. That's all for the moment. Steve?
All right, well, that's great news, Michelle. It's been a long time since we've had an event, a World Championship event in Europe, and it's been on our wish list and for a long time. So it's wonderful that we're getting close to executing on that again.
Yeah. Of course, it's great news. Yeah, we put some effort, and we are so happy to provide, the news now. Just to have a vision for the next few months, to have a project all together.
All right. Steve, you want to say a few words there? You've been quiet.
Yeah, it's I don't know. You look back at a lot of these things that we do, and we live in a very difficult period right now, and we've got to be very understanding of where we're all at. But for me, life moves on, and things will improve, and with that, we have to do some planning. My biggest thing is that these things take a long time to come to fruition. And I just got a few thank yous. One is from the, obviously yourself and David, the president and ED, also from the executive council who gave us the approval to go ahead and keep pushing forward with this event. We've got the approval from the IHCA and also the Hobbycat Company. Michelle and I have got a zillion hours in this with the host, and I will have to say that the host is a very, very welcome host. Some of the things that people need to understand is that while we are going to announce a time of year, obviously that'll be in September of 2021, we have a very, very good risk management plan in place, and they are having target points and trigger points, as I call them, along the way to review the process, to review international travel, to make a fair event. And that's the process that we're doing now. So it's nothing is in stone other than the fact that we are going to have a World Championships. We have some fallback dates, but the idea is trying to give the sailors and their family some opportunity to at least make some plans, forward plans to structure themselves and their work and things this way. you'll find that there's a temporary landing page that's going to be up, could be up now at hobbyworld.com, and that'll give you a little bit of structure of what's going on. And the rollout then is at the end of January, a little bit more of a fully developed website with some provisional notice of races. Further into February, price and information. Technically, if we get the go ahead, we're looking at registration opening up in March. But again, please don't think we're not tone deaf and understand what's going on in the world. It's just a case of there's a process along the way to let people know is as much as possible. And if we have to move the event into 2022, we will do that. But we're going ahead and spin the wheel and throw the dart at the board using the best information we have worldwide by the medical profession. International travel, to me, is probably going to be the bigger hurdle than local, but we don't know. It is a very, very fluid situation, and we'll do what we can. Some of the keynotes that I just want to talk about is that, there's many talks of trying to reduce that series down into, say the Masters and the Open and no qualifying series, just trying to compress the event so we can have more events. But, as Michelle said, and, Rich and I have been talking about in David Books of not having an event in the mainland Europe for 24 years, it would be very remiss of us to not run the full event. So we plan to have the full event of, 4 days of the Masters, the second series, Grandmasters Youth and GGMs, Open qualifying, and then the Open series. But what we have done, and it'll be released probably the end of January, if not the first part of February, is David Brooks is working on that schedule of how this all works and what countries and how they qualify. And there's been a lot of hours into it. But just sum up my part real quick is that it's very good to see that the event is going to go forward. And we're pretty excited to be able to announce a championship, which is positive. And I'm excited. I always get excited when you talk about World Championship because we're all families and friends. And if we can make this happen after kind of the doom and gloom of 2020, 2021 is not starting off the best, but the Olympics are going on in August, and that looks like they're going forward. There is that chance in that Q3 that we can be safe. It can be confidence in travel. Vaccines are rolling out. And for us as a family, if we can get together again as the Hobie class, this will be a special world, whether it be in September and May, but either one of those, I think this is one of those worlds that, we're really going to appreciate us being Hobie sailors and part of this Hobie family. Definitely.
Yeah, that's a great summary, Steve, and a great explanation of where we're at, I think. We want to stress to everyone, we want to be mindful of the worldwide health situation, of travel restrictions, and the realities all associated with that. And we're optimistic that we can try to do this in September, but we absolutely have fallback plans in place and timing to execute those well in advance. So if we can't do this in September of 2021, we are going to push it back to May of 2022. So that's already on our agenda now. We have everything in place to do that. So that the point is to do this safely and to do this in a way that people can come and people can participate.
It's good to see all these names popping up from all over the world. New York and Spain and all the countries and all the people that are following this. It's really good news. And I tell you right now, no matter what we do, when we can pull this off, it's just great news. I miss seeing the Hobie family. I really miss that first race. Everyone's excited to master up. We've got new sail designs, and we're on the water for there about 3 weeks, and all the great fun and parties that we have as a Hobie class. And we're all looking forward to it. And I can promise you it will be a very safe event and fair event. And the other thing, too, is that we also look at what countries actually attend these events. And in the numbers itself, there's a handful. Like North America is a strong one. South Pacific is very strong. localized in Europe is going to be like Jervis Bay was in 2014, where every man and his dog wanted to go sailing because it's in their home country. So the European contingent in this thing is going to be just blown up. And I'm going to say you're going to have to get in early because we do only have so many boats. So once we make it safe, I reckon, they say that Australia was the largest world since 1976. I can tell you, having not had an event for 24 years on the Europe mainland, this one is going to be one of those that you don't want to miss, period. So I'm looking forward to it. You have the promise of the Hobie Cat Company and the IHCA and all the management team. We have very, very strong risk management place. If I can get you there safely, I know where we're sailing. Like Rich said, I've got a beach that's 5 times the size of Captiva in Jervis Bay. Yeah. And we've got open areas. It's a 2-person boat. If I can get you there safe, I know we can run a good event. We just got to get the hurdle of travel and confidence in traveling. And that's the big hurdle there. But we have all, I just can't relate to the people watching of the talks that Rich and I have had, and David Brooks, the host, and Michelle, and the Hobie Cat Company of it has to be a positive, safe move. If we do, you don't want to miss this one. I can tell you that now.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's absolutely fantastic because I was actually at the Worlds 24 years ago in Spain. So I know what the feeling was like when it was last in Europe. And I know the amount of people that we had there and the excitement. So for us to go back and announce a World that's going back to Europe, I just go back and say, this is absolutely fantastic. As you say, we're going through all the protocols. We'll make it safe. No one's going to be at risk. We just don't do things like that, not to our family. And that's, when I say family, I mean all our Hobie sailors. We're all part of the same family. We're looking forward to it. And to me, it just brings so much excitement to the class. I get emails all the time because with what I do, I also go back and talk to a lot of the other classes. And there's so many people out there that just go, we can't do anything. We're going back. We're being positive. We're going back and telling people, hey, we can run, if we can run a regatta, we're going to give you a Worlds. We're going to be one of the first classes off the beach that's going back running a Worlds in 2021. We've got it announced. We'll make sure it's safe. We'll make sure we can get everybody there. And gee, I'm just thrilled to go back to Spain again and go back there and remember, a Hobie 16 Worlds in Europe. One of the few old ones that can actually remember that far back. So to everybody, just thank you so much. It's been a wonderful experience, and just let's move forward.
There you go. I don't know how many people would have seen this coming. It was very hard behind the scenes to keep it quiet. We initially tried to announce this prior to Christmas, but Rich and I thought it was just it was best to, with things not going well around the world, to let the Thanksgiving go by, let New Year's or Christmas go by, and New Year's. Things tried to settle down a little bit. We've still got some issues in the UK. But all in all, I think there's some positive news out that everyone can take this way. And at least we can start looking at running a successful event and returning back. Now, Brooksy, they tell me that you're buying beers.
Yep. If we go back to Spain, yes, I'll put my hand in my pocket and buy people beers to get us there. Yep, not a problem. I'm just looking for. As I said, I'm just really excited that this is going to happen. And what I'm even more excited about, as you said, when we're looking at the schedule, because we can actually go back and we're having the full schedule, which is what the IHCA Council voted. Not to have the pre-qualifying anymore. We're going to go back and we're going to put that stuff back in there. We're going to have, women, youth, as you mentioned, masters, grandmasters. We're doing a whole lot. We're going to have the whole family back there in Europe. So, it's going to be absolutely fantastic. The beers, for everybody, it's going to cost me a fortune.
That's right. I hear you have a black Amex from the IHCA. Is that right, Brooksy? And you keep that in the front glove box of your Mercedes 500 AGM, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yes, right. Yeah, absolutely.
The other thing that's cool too is, we've been a lot of hours on qualifying that most of the world hasn't had qualifying rounds anywhere, but we've made it, and it actually extended the open qualifying series And between David Brooks and Rich, they've come up with a really good schedule of preceding some people, yet making sure that you can attend the event. And it's a 4-day qualifying series. I mean, I go to a couple places. We had 2 days, and they put 8 spots of 112 people. That's not a lot of fun. But here we've got some good sailing in. We've actually extended the event a bit. We've kept that middle series in because it's just, you have to. We've been locked up. People want to go sailing, and it's been 24 years in Europe. So I'm really thankful for all the work that's put in behind the scenes. And Michelle, you get to kind of wrap this up again as far as, tell us the location. I can't pronounce it, Frank. It's September and where? Catalonia.
Sorry?
The location, I love the way you pronounce it.
Our location in Catalonia?
Catalonia.
Catalonia.
Mimi was asking for that one. I just want to make sure I got the pronunciation right. So that's good.
Catalonia in Spain in 21. Yeah, Catalonia.
Yeah. We have a fallback date, and the biggest thing is that June 1st will be the no or go situation. We've got quite a few trigger points along the way to look at what's happening, where we think it's going to be. I mean, Qantas announced that they were starting to think about opening up, at least taking money and booking for flights. I know you've got your tickets already for the Olympics in August, and that's in Japan. So things are easing. They are. Are we in a tight? It is, but I feel a bit more relaxed now, Michelle, after all this work since we started in Florida. I mean, talking with Rich, and then we had another bid come to us from Europe. It just couldn't quite get off the ground. And then we really, really worked hard to do it. And my biggest thing, without the support of the IHCA, and then more importantly, the IHCA, and then the Hubby Cat Company, we couldn't do it. So there's a lot of people that have given us the vote of confidence to push forward. And then our goal is with Rich and David and Michelle is to have a lot more regular updates so people can get that 30,000 foot down of where we're at with the event. What are we doing to make it safe? Where the world at? And then we have that cutoff point to where we can say, hey, this is when we need to do it. Things that would be good. So there's been so many positive comments on here. I'm very pleased to see so many people are making comments. It's going to look really good. And again, we're going to have some more information on that website. So that's it for me. I'm excited. My shoulders are now dropped down about 2 inches. Michelle's actually smiling a little bit. So I'm pretty happy there.
Yeah, I'm so happy, to organize something, in Europe, back to Europe. And happy, to share the event with Steve, Rich, and David. We have been involved in the few different championships. And the next World Championship will be special for me because it will be a big one. I'm sure it will be a big one. I'm sure. Yeah.
Rich, don't you think of all the years and all this lockdown that once this thing gets going, that this is going to be a big event?
Oh, absolutely. And we've already seen that here in North America for the few events that are happening. There's some I know that, some of the classes at my club, and they have one of the we have limits on how many people can be at events right now. So they've had some events that have sold out in one day. They open registration and they accept the maximum number of boats and it sells out in one day. So I have no doubt this is going to be, there's a demand out there. People are anxious to get out and do things, anxious to go sailing again, and they're going to come to Spain and join us.
I just saw a name pop up, Pep from Catalonia. He's one of the hosts. And I tell you what, I've been doing a lot of worlds for a long time, worked with Rich on Florida a little bit, and then organized some others. This guy right there is the driving force to make all this happen. And Pep, I know you're watching. Thank you so very much for all the effort that you put in to make it happen. And I'm really ecstatic. So that's all from me for sure. And we'll let you guys wrap up what you need to do.
All right, well, thanks for joining in today. We're really glad to see so many people from around the world participating live. We'll be, of course, recording this and posting it on YouTube. And, of course, it'll live on Facebook as well for folks that weren't able to join in live. And look for more information to come out. You'll see information on the hobbyclass.com webpage and on the hobbyworlds.com webpage in coming weeks and months. And we hope to come to you a few more times with live streams like this to fill you in on how things are going and just keep you informed and excited to come and participate.
Radio, I guess that's it. Brooksy, closing words?
Mate, all I can say is, I'm excited. 24 years back to Europe. I think this is fantastic. I'm looking forward to going back and seeing everybody again. As Rich and you have all alluded to, this is going to be a sellout. I can just see everybody wanting to come there. And all I can say is, when we do get things rolling, I wouldn't wait to enter. I think we're going to be very limited, but we'll talk about that later. And as I said, it's so exciting to go back to Europe and see everybody there. I'm just not looking forward to some of the comments that have come back about me buying so many beers. That's all.
Eric Olson said he'd help out, and we have it in writing. Andy Dinsdale can confirm. It says Brooksy is buying. So there goes your paycheck for the rest of the year. So
yes, rest of my life.
All right, guys, I'm going to hit the button. And another comment from Andy. Thanks for making this happen. And one thing that hasn't been said, we haven't forgotten Europe. It's just been difficult to get there. And as Rich promised, as the president of the class, our next Worlds will be in Europe. And that was a commitment that Michelle cooked in and dragged me into it. And same with Brooksy. That's our commitment to the class, the European hobby sailors. And with that, I think I'm going to go ahead and end the broadcast. And stay tuned for more information from David Brooks and your president, Rich McVeigh. See you guys.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks.